Whenever I would stop my ADHD meds, I would massively use cocaine. I would massively drink. And I know I'm not the only one. Comment your experience down below. If you've ever just stopped your meds, whether it was for BPD or bipolar or whatever, and you instantly within a week went to some kind of substance. Because I think that this is really common. And at least for me it was. I'm kind of curious to check these comments and see what people say. Because anytime I was on my ADHD meds, I take Adderall, 10 milligrams in the morning, 10 milligrams in the afternoon. It's an instant release, not Adderall XR. I can go through whole stories of all the trial and error I did. But whenever I took Adderall, I could think very logically, slowed me down, wasn't emotional, not impulsive. And I would always be around people though, ex-wives and stuff, who never really, you don't need that stuff, don't take that. And so I would stop taking my meds because they would tell me how I didn't need it. And I would realize that I needed help. Like, I don't know how to explain it. My life became chaos and confusion, and I couldn't focus on anything. And it become a lot of depression. And so now all of a sudden, like, I know there was some dependency and stuff to a stimulant. So I'm going to address that yes, I know there was some dependency to that stimulant, but also like I couldn't get tasks done. And so I would instantly, usually just quickest one was going to alcohol. Alcohol gave me a lot of dopamine. If you don't know that about alcohol, alcohol does release dopamine. The thought of drinking releases dopamine. There's a lot of things that like trigger and fire your brain off to release dopamine. Alcohol is one of those. So I would drink, and the alcohol would slow me down. It would slow my breathing down. It would slow everything down, and I would be like, okay, I could be productive. And it was something that now I need at work because I want to be more productive at work. And when it was before it was really fully out of control, there was this little window that it did give me some control at work, and it did make me more productive at work. The problem though is with alcohol, with cocaine, it overrode all logic, and it became so impulsive, and there was such a fear. There was a fear of not being normal. And I don't know if that makes sense to some people out there or not, but I was afraid that once it got out of my system, I wasn't going to be normal again. Like, this gave me the closest that I knew is what normal was. It made everything okay for me. It made it normal. And that was scary though, because I became obsessed with it. I became that I needed to have it. That's the way that I looked at it. I needed to have this to be normal. And so alcohol was always my go-to. And then cocaine was different. Alcohol just wore me out. Alcohol slowed me down. And it got me to the point that I couldn't be fully productive, but cocaine offset all that. And it gave me more dopamine. That more dopamine just gave me focus. I remember I would do coke and it would be like, all right, like it's on. And it wasn't like I felt like I was Superman and I was going to like jump over buildings and I was indestructible. I just felt like, all right, like let's do this. And it would energize me, and it make me happy. And that was the scary thing of then you can't control that balance. And you can't tell us that as an addict, that you can't control the balance. I thought I could. Because I'd literally run experiments. Like, okay, I'm going to have 6 of these shooters. I'm going to drink half of this bottle. And then I'll do 3 lines of Coke. And then I'll set an alarm. And I won't do it again for, an hour and a half. Never worked that way. That was the worst part, is it never worked that way. It always worked opposite of that. I would do it, and then it would be like, oh my goodness, I feel this great now. If I do more, I'll feel better. That was my mindset, and I think anybody can relate to that. If I do more, I'm going to feel better than this. And this feeling isn't going to go away as quickly. And it was like, okay, I'm not taking my ADHD meds, and I would justify it to myself. That's the worst, I think, part about the stigma with like our medications, especially if you're ADHD. Is people are always telling you, oh, you're on this stimulant. It's like crystal meth. It's not. And stimulants don't affect us the same. Dopamine doesn't affect us the same. Like, I look at my wife now, and I even tell her, I'm like, I don't understand. You can have a glass of wine, maybe get another one, and then be like, I'm done. I don't, like, the more that I drank, the more that I needed. It was like it was fuel to the fire. And I don't understand that. And that's where I think an addict brain is very different. And I think a lot of us will do this to self-medicate because we don't know any better in a sense. It's like, our brain is looking for any way to get this normalized feeling back, or this feeling back that it wants. And so we start down all these different routes. And it was amazing, because the times that I used the heaviest was the times that I didn't take my Adderall. And as soon as I would start taking Adderall, I would actually start, like, a lot of times I would stop cocaine. And I would stop cocaine for like 6 months, whatever. I would slow my drinking way down. I wouldn't drink in the morning. I would maybe, at a certain point, I had DTs. The last couple years of my addiction were horrid. Like, even taking meds and stuff, I had to drink. So, but for a long time, like in my 20s, like I would maybe have a drink in the morning to take the edge off, like a shower beer. That was it. I'd have a couple drinks at work, and then I would drink heavily after work. But I wasn't massively drinking during work, and then I wasn't mixing cocaine with it. And it was like I slowly started losing control, because originally with my first wife, when she told me I didn't need ADHD meds, I just started drinking. And I just never stopped. And it was horrid, because like things would start going really bad in my life. I remember one time we were broke. We had just bought a house. The mortgage was ridiculous. This is right before the financial crash in the mid 2000s. Like I couldn't make anything right. I didn't know how to even focus. I have no ADHD meds. And I took like the last like $4 I had, and I went and bought 2 King Cobras and drank those. And it actually gave me the thought process. I ended up coming up with a plan, selling some stuff, getting some money coming in. Like, it was really weird. But it was how I normalized it, and I needed stuff to slow me down. I think that's a reason that a lot of people do turn to drugs and alcohol, is it makes us feel normal. There is an extent that it allows us to think. And it's hard, because we value our partners and stuff. And when my partners would tell me I didn't need this, like the look in their eye and the disgust in their eye when I would take a med versus drinking a beer was ridiculous. And so I'd rather drink a beer and not have that look of disgust as I would of like, well, why are you taking those meds? It's really sad when a med has a worse stigma than alcohol does. And when a med has a worse stigma than some of the substances out there do. Like, that's the messed up part about it. And it's hard. And I think that times have changed some, and there's a little bit more open-mindedness, but I think there's a lot of people out there that really struggle with this. And it would get to the point that I'd be so reliant on cocaine and alcohol that it would never cross my mind to maybe like try my meds again, or to get back onto my meds. I would just go down this route of cocaine and alcohol. And it was almost like, because I thrived on the chaos more. It did create a lot of chaos in my life, and it created more stimulation in my life. And the meds just made my life more normal. Like, I really struggled when I quit all the drugs, and I had to realize what calm was again. And I had to go to therapy for it. Like, I had to go to therapy to understand how to not have chaos in my life and be okay with it, because it was something I needed at a point. And that's the hardest thing, I think, when it comes to addiction and medication, is medication does normalize us out. And you're checking in with your doctor. And yes, I think that they throw pills at a lot of people maybe that don't need them. Like I could debate on this for like days. But all in all, if you're ADHD, your meds do a huge help for you. But if we don't have them, we'll find some other way to try and be normal, and that's the worst. And that was one of my biggest challenges. And when I got back on my meds, it was amazing how my desire for a lot of these substances did go away. And a lot of my cravings and urges for these substances went away. But then it was weird, the different withdrawals that I went through, even the mental withdrawals and the not chaos withdrawals, and then the guilt. Like, there's nothing worse. Like, I think we will do a lot of substances to self-medicate and make us forget and be normal and like hide shit. And sometimes our meds make us think again, and we feel the guilt, and we know the lies, and we know what we've done. And that eats at us in a different way. And I think that's where sometimes it's hard for us to get back onto our meds, because our meds normalize us back out, and we go, what did I just do? Oh no. And that's scary. Because then you're living with a lot of guilt. I had to live with a lot of guilt for a long time. And it eats away at you. And that's one of the things that urges you almost to relapse, is that guilt. It urges you because you just want to feel good again. and your brain romanticizes it. And it's a struggle. And I will say the worst thing I ever did was listening to people in my life who told me I didn't need my meds and that it was all in my head. Yeah, it is all in my head. My brain doesn't produce dopamine like most people's brains. It doesn't harness dopamine like most people's brain. My brain is special, and there's a lot of us out there with special brains. But my meds allow me to have the life that I want, and I'm okay with that. And I think that's something that's important, is to come to terms in being okay with that, because it does make a difference. And again, when it comes to getting sober, I mean, just find what works. You have to want it. And again, I do share for educational purposes only. I never share to glamorize any substances or my stories or any of that, what I've experienced. But I share because the real and the raw is what we need to sometimes just wake us up and go, I don't want to do this anymore. And whether it is going into rehab, which is amazing, go into rehab, man. Inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, find one that has refined recovery is awesome. Go to them, have therapy, coping tools, all of that. Download Sunflower Sober. I always have Sunflower Sober tagged down below. Download them, sunflowersober.com. Start tracking your days of sobriety. You have a 24-hour AI sponsor support until you get a real sponsor. You have community there that you can talk with others and journal. It's the app of apps that can help you get sober and stay sober. Going to AA meetings, NA meetings, and Al-Anon meetings, those are really important to me, just being around other addicts even and understanding I wasn't alone in what I was going through. Going to a doctor, a psychiatrist, a therapist, getting back on your meds, EMDR therapy, CBT therapy, whatever it takes, in the right meds, but don't give up. And that's the thing is you might stumble along the way, but don't give up. Don't ever feel like you failed. You pick up the pieces and you go back at it. And that's what it's about. So anyone who's going through it right now, I'm proud of you. Don't give up. It does get better.